16 expeditions had gone before us, tried and failed. There was a huge avalanche coming straight towards us. As I felt this blackness sort of closing in around me, I realized that I was going to die. I started climbing with my dad because he was a climber, and climbing was a big part of my dad's life for a long time, and I think he really wanted to share that. And as I grew up, my calling was really to the bigger ranges. When I look at my childhood and the books that I was reading, it was always about going to the biggest mountains in the world. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what it was. I met Simone Moro and Dennis Rupko, my two partners on Gasherbrum II, in the winter of 2009. And I remember looking up at this peak that I was supposed to climb with these two Himalayan legends and sort of thinking to myself, what have I said yes to? On the planet, there are 14 peaks that are above 8,000 meters. And Gasherbrum II is the 13th highest peak in the world. Going there in the summer is actually, in the climbing world, fairly common. Going there in the winter is unheard of. Many people had died trying to do it in the wintertime. The fact that many people had tried and failed was a huge plus for us, because that meant it was really hard. When we got the green light to go, what we were looking at was a very short window where we could actually go to the top, where the wind would die enough, where it would be warm enough, and when I say warm enough, that's -50, not including wind chill. And it's really wild looking around the tent at night because it's just millions of little sparkles. And it's magic, and it's also miserable. Your sleeping bags are covered in frost. So if you're not taking care of yourself, that cold can kill you. And it happens like that. Getting to the summit, it's not this high-fiving, fist-bumping. You are so exhausted and you're only halfway there. So it was very anticlimactic. Immediately, the storm started to hit. You're as far out as you can get, and we're in the most danger right at this moment.
Let's get the out of here!
There was a huge clap of thunder. I saw a huge avalanche coming straight towards us. And the kind that you just don't survive. The avalanche itself was so massive that it had thrown us about 500 feet and over about a 9-foot wide crevasse. I could look around and I saw that Dennis was buried, but he was buried basically standing up to his neck, which is so miraculous. And Simone had been buried up to his waist. I don't know why, but I turned the camera on myself and broke down. And it changed my life forever.
I guess I wasn't aware of how really brutal it could be. He called right after they'd been hit by the avalanche. He says, well, where are you guys? He said, oh, we're alive. I think the clue there was that he said, well, we're alive.
It was a rough phone call.
When we did it, it was the first Pakistani 8,000 meter peak that had ever been climbed in the wintertime. And I became the first American to climb any 8,000 meter peak in winter. I would do it again in a second. I'm still scared, but so worth it. That moment of realization how beautiful this big world is and how special it is to be there.